What is a mind trick you know of? I live in inner-city Akron, Ohio. Needless to say, there is a pretty high crime rate around the university center. So I took a self-defense course at the university and learned the best self-defense tricks I could have never thought of. Act crazier than the person attacking you. I'm talking mental patient on PCP with a bad case of Jack Nicholson insane. 9 times out of 10 they will see you as unpredictable and not want to even mess with you. For example, I was across the street from my apartment at a Circle K buying a 40 and a pack of smokes at about midnight 30, and this guy comes up from nowhere and asks me if I want to make some money. I reply, no thanks, I have a job. The clerk behind the window disappears to get my stuff and I'm stuck outside in the open standing right next to what amounts to a drug selling would-be burglar. After a while the silence and tension gets unbearable and I ask him what his proposed opportunity entails. Just then the clerk comes back, gives me my stuff, and shouts out the window, "Yo, what's up, Dentel?" Or something along those lines. The shady guy shakes his head and starts to walk away. I pay for my stuff, start walking along under the lights along the white wall of the building so I can be seen in case anything happens, and I see to my left that this shady guy is following me, walking parallel to me in the parking lot where it's dark. He calls over to me and starts walking towards me. I'm all like, nope. So I curve my arms up so my hands are in my armpits and I crouch down with a wide stance and walk sideways in a crab walk, guerrilla-style fashion, and start screaming obscenities about aliens and Arabic coffee. The guy takes one look at me and makes a run for the bus stop. TL. A guy started following me in a parking lot of a Circle K late one night, so I went into guerrilla mode and acted like a paranoid schizophrenic, so he ran off. Go up to someone in a restaurant and tell them to close their eyes and picture a playing card. While they are doing this, eat as much of their food as you can and run away. If you ask a question, and receive only a partial answer, respond with polite silence. Simply wait. A more complete answer will usually follow. If you're trying to find something, try looking right to left as opposed to left to right. Your eyes tend to skim over things if you search in the direction you are used to reading in, so skim the opposite way. It takes me a bit more effort to do this, but I notice more details. If I need to remember to do anything at all the next day, I will put something in my room out of place. This works every time. Say for example, I really want to remember to email my professor before leaving for class 1, we'll put a movie on the floor. I will initially think, why is that? Oh right, email Ernie. A key technique for me. When trying to get away with something sketchy, not illegal per se, but frowned upon, walk into the place like you own it. Don't glance around, don't even stop for a second or look confused. 9 times out of 10 nobody will question you. You can get away with lots of things that way. Okay, so here's one my father taught me years ago when I was just a small child. It's not a mind trick, so much, as it is an illusion. Then again, an illusion is just tricking your mind, so I think it counts. So I use the knuckles on my pointer finger and middle and wrap them around someone's nose. Then I pull back, while I covertly slip my thumb between my 2 knuckles. I then proclaim, got your nose. Most people stand in shock, until I reveal that I haven't actually removed their nose. It's a useful trick for picking up women as well as entertaining at parties. I'm a paramedic. When a patient is possibly faking unconsciousness, we have 2 tricks to determine if they're really unconscious or not. First, you can lightly brush their eyelashes with your finger. Their eyes will flutter if they're faking it. Alternatively, if they're on their back, you can lift their arm over their face and let it go. A conscious person will drop their arm away from their face. Finally, a trick to see if someone is faking a neck injury or neck pain. Put a thermometer in their mouth while checking their vitals. Then ask them a yes or no question while looking them in the eyes. If you aren't looking directly at them, they tend to answer with a strained, uh-huh, or, UNH. But if you're looking directly at them, they will usually nod their head. Someone who is faking the pain can do this with ease. And yes, there are a lot of calls where people fake pain, illness, etc. for various reasons. My favorite works best in sports. It's more of a way to get into other people's mind and screw them up. Say you're playing against a guy, girl who is just on fire. Completely in the zone and dominating. Casually ask, hey, what did you change to X better? Or something to that effect. I've done it in volleyball where I ask a guy who's been hitting amazing, I've never seen you jump so high before, what did you change? More often than not it throws them off their game. Done it in hockey too. "Hey, your shot looks amazing. What foot are you leading with?" In class, if it's a presentation where someone has to present without looking at notes or anything like that, and while they're up in front of classroom presenting, some people forget what they're talking about, space out, freak out, and lose their train of thought. To counter this, nod your head at the end of each sentence they say, confirming what they're saying. They will somehow use this as a motivator, and 9 times out of 10 will keep presenting without fault. Good news everyone. I have invented a device that changes the voice in your head. There's something in sales called the Sullivan nod. Basically, when you're asking someone something, nod up and down while you're asking. Their mirror neurons start firing and they begin nodding and agreeing with you subconsciously. 60% of the time it works every time. During a job interview, you want to keep eye contact with the person you're talking to. It makes you seem more alert and confident. Here's the trick. Every 5 or 10 seconds switch the eye you're looking at. It's such a small motion that the other person can't see it, but it makes your eyes look like they're sparkling, which makes you look very interested in what the other person is saying. Probably works for dating too. Clarification. Some people have asked for clarification on how this is supposed to work. Greater than on the small motion part. You have to be a few feet away from the other person. Otherwise the angle your eyes have to shift to look at the other eye is easily noticeable. Greater than on the sparkling. Since your eyes aren't perfectly spherical, when they move the reflection of any lights in the room changes slightly. If the movement is small enough, all the other person sees is the light's reflection moving on your eye, thus sparkling. Disclaimer. Apparently some people can tell what you're doing, and find it very annoying. If you're trying this and you get weird looks, you should probably stop. The door in the face. https n Wikipedia.org, wiki, door in the face _technique. The general idea is that you ask someone for a huge favor which you're relatively confident they'll say no to. Then you ask them for a small favor. Subjects who initially refuse the huge favor have a much higher compliance rate on the small favor than if you just ask directly for the small favor or if you present both at once. If they end up saying yes to the huge favor, that's also good. If you're in a crowded social group, restaurant, bar, party, etc., and you want to know if someone is checking you out, try this. Turn sideways from them. They will be either 90 degrees right or left of you. Then very obviously, look at your watch. Even if you don't wear one, lift your wrist. Then point at your watch and nod thoughtfully. Overacting is perfectly acceptable. If they are keeping tabs on you, even peripherally, they will have a sudden urge to know the time and will either look at their own watch, cell phone, or casually look at the various obvious places where someone would put a clock. Not really a mind trick, but if you have confidence in what you are saying and can back it up with false facts, you can get people to do almost anything. If I pass my hand in front of a person's eyes, I can convince them that these aren't the droids they're looking for. I think this one is pretty well known by now, but when high-fiving, look at their elbow and you'll never miss. Edited for typo. Isn't it odd that the human mind doesn't register the fact that the was used twice each time in this sentence? I can convince myself of anything. This is probably silly, but you know that thing where if you repeat a word enough it loses its meaning? Well, I've convinced myself that there is some kind of similar thing going on with pain. If I'm in pain, if I focus 100% on the pain, and block out everything else, the pain kind of loses its meaning. I still feel it, but it's no longer pain, it's just what is. I discovered this one from my mother, actually. If you're out and about and come across hooligans or other ne'er-do-wells, that might be up to something, such as smashing things up, who might well become confrontational, you need to approach them and ask for a light, or the time. As you walk up, they'll be ready for a fight. When they realize that you, as a sole person, has approached them as a group and asked something innocuous and unrelated to their activities, they will very likely give you the time, light that you asked for. Then shuffle off with a bemused feeling. I'm not advocating that you should go out and try it, but only if you might have to pass by an incident going on where they notice you and you don't want any trouble. Of the 3 times in my life that I have been in this situation, it has always worked. If you have to exert authority, act as though your orders would never be questioned, and you'll be fine. If you have to throw someone out of a place, just keep advancing on them until they're out the door. It occurred to me a while back that a security uniform, any security uniform, will get you past everyone, including security guards from a different company with a completely different uniform. As a security contractor, businesses at malls, for example, will call me to watch their store specifically for different reasons, mostly at night. Once time I got lost, I ended up at the entrance of a closed department store at a mall, and the manager himself pretty much ushered me in. If I hadn't asked how to get to my destination, he would have just bolted off and I would have had the place to myself. It's not the first time I wandered into places I shouldn't be, completely unchallenged. Also, it's really nice for when I want to smoke a joint in plain view. Cops just nod or wave at me, no matter where I am standing at whatever time of night, with absolutely no idea if I should be there or not. And all my uniform consists of is black slacks and a polo with an arm and chest patch. Nothing flashy or even that noticeable. Most of the time I feel as though I'm just dancing in everyone's peripheral vision, and they contrive for themselves that whoever I am, I should be here and don't need to be questioned. It's a head trip. Look at the other person's elbow and never miss at high fives. Tighten the muscles around your eyes and people will think you're ridiculously tired, even if you've been getting 8+ hours of sleep a day. Great for getting the boss off your case when you ask for a deadline extension. If you smell awful, wearing a t-shirt with home renovation type stains, paint, plaster, dust, etc., causes people's minds to interpret less awful scents from your odor, essentially making you smell better. When receiving a delivery, pay or sign for the package, pizza, while saying, "Thanks, you too." If they didn't catch what you said, they will reply with the exact same sentence. Looking behind the person during a conversation makes them ridiculously curious. Tracking something with your eyes makes them even more curious. Winking, nodding, or shaking your head at something behind them makes them paranoid. If you're looking at or signaling to something that isn't there, they will feel uneasy for the rest of the day. This almost always results in them turning around to see what's going on back there. Great for April Fool's Day. Make people believe you are a sage with ridiculous amounts of life experiences with the following. 1. Tell them a few immutable facts or guidelines they can use in life. 2. Tell them to never tell anyone everything they know and emphasize this during every interaction with them in the future. 3. Tell them even more things. They will see you as a never-ending wealth of knowledge with the premise that you're actually holding back far more precious knowledge from them. If you're in a position of authority or rank to them, this can be incredibly intimidating because they believe that you know everything they know and more, even if you don't. Learn to make incredibly risky bluffs with confidence. If you put all your cards on the table from the start, people are afraid of what you've got up your sleeves. Go all in on a 7-high trash hand with the confidence of a laser-mounted Liger spy with an IQ of 164 and 30 escape plans. Walk through an employees-only doorway as if you own the place and use their pristine bathrooms. The more confidence you show when you do something, the easier it is to get away with it.